My husband and his affair partner died in a car accident, leaving behind their 2 kids. Now everyone expects me to take them in and raise them as my own like a good mom should. Posted by you/scaredycat1122. My 45F husband, 49M, of 23 years had an affair with a 20-year-old girl starting in 2020. I found out this year when his affair partner gave birth to twin boys in March. Obviously, we were going to divorce. We've been hashing things out since then. It's been a lengthy process due to some properties we own in common, and we needed to get an accountant because he used the shared account for his affair. Finally, things seemed to be getting close to the end when both my husband and the woman he cheated with were killed in a car crash. By some miracle, the twin babies were not harmed in the crash. Now they are orphaned and neither set of grandparents can take them in permanently. My husband's parents are both in assisted living, he had no siblings, and the only aunt who could take them refuses. She's been child-free her whole life. On the woman's side, I'm not sure of all the details, but her parents are also unable to be involved long-term, and her only sister lives overseas. Since we were still married and he had not updated his will, all his assets are set to pass to me and our 2 children. I'm not callous enough to leave those babies with nothing, so I agreed to let whoever becomes their legal guardian have the remaining balance in the shared account, about $25,000 in savings. The issue is that no one wants to take them in. Now my in-laws are pressuring me to take them in and raise them. The problem is, I don't want to, at all. I wouldn't love them, and I don't want to be the evil stepmother. But I know a big part of me will always have some level of resentment toward them. I would probably favor my own children. It's not their fault, but I truly loved my husband, and I thought we were happy before I found out about the affair. We have 2 daughters, 14 and 16. Obviously, we had disagreements, but we never insulted each other before. Then I found out about the affair, and he began calling me names and blaming me for his cheating. He became abusive and even tried to kick me out of the house, my childhood home, which is not shared property, for the record. I'm also raising teenagers alone now. I don't have the energy to raise babies anymore. My daughters hate their baby brothers. I tried to get them to spend time with their dad as we were divorcing, but they refused. Since this all came out because of the babies, there wasn't really a way to sugarcoat the situation. And they are also too old for me to get away with it. Most of my friends agree it's not my place to care for those children, but my in-laws, the affair woman's parents, and my mother want me to raise them. I know my mom is just having grandkids fever, but it hurts not to have her support. I have to make a decision by next week or the boys will be going into foster care. At the moment, they are temporarily placed with their maternal grandparents. I feel horrible, but I am very sure I can't take them in. Would I be wrong if I refused to take them in? Editor's note: I couldn't find the exact time frame between each update throughout updates 1 to 6. It could have spanned several months. First update. Hey everyone, this blew up far more than I thought, and I appreciate the well wishes for my girls, the boys, and myself. Also, thank you to the many lovely people offering to help give the twins a good home. I might not be their mother, but it touches me and makes me glad there are good people out there. After thinking carefully, speaking to my lawyer, reading responses, doing research, etc., I plan to speak to the grandparents tomorrow and refuse to take legal guardianship of the boys. I will let them know the usernames of people who offered to meet for private adoptions or fostering, but my daughters are my priority. It will be up to the twins' grandparents to decide if they'll proceed with adoption, keep them, or turn them over to the state. I wish I had the mental capacity to be the person to do this, but I have 2 girls who are going through a lot, and they need my full attention. I'll also be talking to the lawyers to figure out if the boys have any inheritance claim properly. If they do, I'll separate it and leave it to the lawyers to do what they need to do for them to have access when it's best. If they don't, I'll find a way to ensure they have access to the $25,000 I was going to give them from the beginning. I won't do more, however. My moral compass might be biased, but I don't believe I'm obligated, morally or legally, to do more than what the law says. I can't help everyone, and I shouldn't have to. I have 2 girls who lost their father, 2 girls who need therapy, 2 girls who are just about to go to college. They've gone through enough without seeing their mother favor the children of their father's mistress. Second update. Hey everyone, as I mentioned 2 nights ago, I went yesterday to speak to the twins' grandparents. I explained my position and refused to take guardianship of the boys. My mother-in-law almost slapped me when I said that, but thankfully, this was all done in a public place, and my father-in-law stopped her. The maternal grandparents kept pleading for me to raise them since they didn't want to lose them. I kept saying no, and when they called me selfish, I lost it. I told them to their faces that the only selfish people in this mess were them and their son and daughter. Their son, my husband, for cheating and then making the divorce hell for me and my girls. Their daughter because she was a WH-re, I used another word, who went after a married man twice her age. I told them if I heard from them again, I would request a cease and desist. I also informed my parents-in-law that they won't have access to my daughters for the foreseeable future. I'll explain why in a bit. We were at a restaurant, but I didn't stay for the meal. I also sent an email to my lawyer so he can ensure CPS and any agency involved in the welfare of the twins is aware that I'm not going to be their guardian or be involved. Then I sent an email to my in-laws with all the usernames and websites from people here on Reddit who have offered to do interviews for the twins' adoption. I won't be involved beyond this point, so please, as lovely as it is, I can't help you if you are interested in the boys. Yesterday was the end of my involvement. As for why my in-laws won't see my girls, I spoke to my daughters and decided to find out more about their thoughts before I went to meet the grandparents. My youngest refused to speak to me, which I found very out of character for her. My eldest then asked for just the two of us to talk. That's when she explained that my in-laws had been going on about how the girls need to get ready to go to public school instead of their private school and get jobs right out of high school since I would have to provide the twins with private schooling and college money. Apparently, they were also told to start moving their stuff to share a room. My girls have separate rooms, since the twins need more space. This was not known to me, mostly because that would never happen. Apparently, my in-laws have been basically bullying the girls because the babies take priority. Yeah, that's not happening. I told the girls that their grandparents have no say in where they go to school, their college funds, or how the rooms are set in our house. I also said I do agree they could use a part-time job during college and maybe a scholarship, but their tuition will be paid. I told them not to blame the babies for the stupidity of the adults. They told me they understand, but they still don't want to interact with their brothers for now. That for now part gives me hope they'll get through things. For now, we're going to make some changes in the house. The girls and I both don't like that there's still an office space that my husband used. We're going to make it into a gaming room for all of us. I plan to take down some pictures that have my husband in them and put them in albums for the girls. We just want to make the house more ours. For those wondering why my girls want nothing to do with their father, my daughters were the ones who discovered the affair and told me when my husband took them to meet the twins at the hospital. He had asked them to keep it a secret, but my girls told me. After that, my husband began treating them horribly too. He burned all bridges with the girls. Third update. I spoke to a lawyer on Monday. The boys have no inheritance claim until a DNA test is done. After that, their only claim will be against my in-laws. The shared account is not considered my husband's individual property, so it's mine. The same goes for the lake house. Since he had a personal savings account and a life insurance policy, which went to his parents, that will be the only thing the boys could claim. Obviously, this could change if it goes to trial, but the lawyer told me that with how little my husband left my girls and me, there's very little chance a judge will demand our assets. The lawyer also recommended that I completely end the idea of sharing any money with the boys. That could be used against me to claim I'm taking financial responsibility for them and should be considered their guardian. I'm dividing the money from the shared account for my daughter's college tuition. I'm still unsure if I'll sell the lake house or not, but neither the girls nor I are attached to it. Now, please leave me alone about the boys' inheritance. Sad as it is, my husband messed everything up for his children. I'm not responsible for them, nor do I have to sacrifice my assets to set them up for a better life. Fourth update. There's some good news and some annoying news. The good news is that the boys were safely retrieved by CPS from their maternal grandparents and will be placed in foster care until a permanent arrangement is made. I found out when it happened because their grandparents, and my mother, came to scream at me at work. In all honesty, I'm glad this happened at work and not at home. It's made me consider moving, as I don't want my daughters exposed to any of this. An annoyance I had soon after was getting a call about my inquiries into fostering and adopting. Apparently, my information was sent to CPS as someone interested in fostering the twins and eventually adopting. I immediately explained the situation between the grandparents and me, and the operator was speechless at first. She apologized for the situation and told me she would make sure I wasn't bothered about the process. I also got served this morning. My in-laws are suing for grandparents' rights. They are also suing for custody. Apparently, they are planning to leave their assisted living, which they really shouldn't, to buy a house that allows kids, to get the twins back, and now also want custody of my daughters. My personal lawyer immediately gave me some instructions I won't share to safeguard myself and my daughters from some risks during a possible custody battle. My lawyer and I both suspect my in-laws want the girls to be parentified as caretakers for the twins since my in-laws have mobility limitations. It will be a cold day in hell before that happens. I don't see CPS placing the boys with them to begin with. Not all is bad news. I'm starting therapy next week, and my eldest daughter is once again talking about the colleges she wants to attend. We still haven't really talked about their father or gotten them to agree to visit his grave. I, myself, haven't gone there, and I'm trying really hard to get used to not calling him my husband anymore. I had nothing to do with the funeral plans aside from paying bills, and from what I heard, his parents had the epitaph, devoted and beloved husband, father, and son written on it. I find it a joke. I know it's bad to hold on to so much anger and resentment, but as soon as I have time, I plan to change his tombstone to remove husband and father. It might sound petty, but I refuse to speak well of a cheater and abuser just because he's dead. My daughters deserved better, and so did I. And for anyone complaining about me changing the tombstone, I pay for everything in the end. So, stick your complaints you know where. I don't think I'll post another update until the whole mess with the grandparents' rights lawsuit is resolved. So to the kind people who have sent support to me and my daughters, thank you so much. Maybe I'll have good news in the future. 5th update. Hey everyone, some people have been asking me for updates, and to be honest, I had nothing until today. To start, cousins from my ex-husband's side of the family took the boys in. I know them, they are lovely, and I know they'll give the twins a great life. The new parents, calling them Matt and Kim, talked to my daughters and let them know if they ever want to reach out to their half-brothers, they just have to call. Otherwise, they can just see them as distant cousins. My girls thanked them but insisted they don't really want a sibling relationship at this time, though maybe as cousins it will be okay. I did offer them the money from the shared account since they are family, but they said not to worry as they don't need it. Kim even insisted I use that money for a vacation for my girls and me. Apparently, I look like a living dead. They also set very strict boundaries with my in-laws and the parents of my ex's affair partner. They can see the boys, but they won't be seen as grandparents. This apparently caused a big fight with the affair partner's parents, and Matt and Kim then cut them off. Again, threats of suing for grandparents' rights were thrown around, but they went nowhere. That's how I found out why the affair partner's parents couldn't take the boys permanently. The father is a convicted felon in an abuse case. I won't share the details out of respect, but if what Matt and Kim told me is true, I'm glad the boys won't grow up with that man as an example. The only reason his wife had temporary guardianship was because of the sudden death of the parents and the process to find a relative to raise the boys. She would have had to live away from her husband to allow permanent custody, and she wasn't willing to do so. My ex-in-laws realized that threats were not going to work, so they agreed to be great uncles instead. Good for them, I guess. Now, they want me to let them live with me and the girls since they left assisted living recently, and the place they were in doesn't have any openings. This place has a long wait list, and the only reason they got in originally was because my ex and I offered to pay for 5 years in full. They still had 2 full years paid for, which I was going to cover. After everything they put my daughters and me through, I'd rather burn money on a grill than spend it on them. I know they want my girls and me to be their caretakers. I won't even consider it. My daughters have their own paths to follow, and honestly, I want to consider meeting someone new. I know it sounds like I'm moving on too quickly, but I've been working to move on since I found out about the affair. I don't think my ex deserves me to go through a mourning period. I already mourned our relationship. At least, that's what my eldest daughter said, funny enough. She's been encouraging me to go out and meet someone. We still have that custody lawsuit from my ex-in-laws going and a few other issues that I will update when I have more, but I wanted to at least let everyone know the boys are safe and together. 6th update. So, we had mediation this week for the grandparents' rights lawsuit. This is just to avoid taking up space on a judge's already heavily stressed docket, though I knew it would go nowhere. My ex-in-laws' demands were for the girls to either be in their custody or spend weekdays with them and weekends with me. Even the court-appointed mediator told them they were not being realistic with their expectations. My lawyer and I had only one offer and were not willing to negotiate. They will see my daughters only if they want to and when they want to. The mediator also thought we were being unfair. That's when a detail came out. My ex-in-laws had claimed my daughters are 6 and 4, a whole decade younger than they really are, to the mediator. I provided him with birth certificates, as well as showed him a picture of the girls. The mediator shook his head and said he couldn't help in this case. My daughters are too old for grandparents' rights to even be considered. He will send a recommendation for the grandparents' rights lawsuit to be dropped, but the custody one will still be going since neither my ex-in-laws nor I agree on custody. I refuse to give them any legal control over my daughters. They are now also demanding I make them the legal guardians if I happen to pass away. That'll never happen. On some strange news, I met the sister of my ex's affair partner. She brought some items to my house that she knew had to be stolen from me. These are things that were supposed to be in storage: my wedding dress, an old jewelry box that had a picture of my grandparents, some of my coats that are a bit pricey, shoes, and, what creeped me out the most, copies of my personal documents, passport, IDs, etc. The sister told me she was cleaning up their place when she found my property and used the address shown in the documents. She was rather nice and apologized for her parents and sister. I did ask her why she refused to take the twins, and she told me that she did because she was tired of being the emergency plan for her family. She didn't say more, and I didn't think it was right to ask her. She knew they were my items because apparently the affair partner had bragged about my ex-husband giving her these items, except for the documents. She has no idea what's going on with that, but she didn't want anything to do with identity theft. She did bring some things that weren't mine and I let her know, so I only kept my property. I told my lawyer about the IDs issue, and he helped me get my credit frozen. I'll be getting new IDs and passports. We did report the possible identity theft to the police, so we'd have the report in case my personal information was used for something illegal or to put me in any trouble. I didn't know one could make a report on a dead person, but apparently this happens more often than I imagined. And no, this won't turn into a posthumous conviction. It's just paperwork to protect myself. And a last funny note, I'm planning to burn that wedding dress and make s'mores over the fire. Call me petty, but I don't care. 7th update 1 month later. I can't believe I ever had to make a post about my mother, but here we are. My 45F, mother, 71F, and I have a difficult relationship. My mother was an old-school traditional wife. She was a homemaker, never did any work outside the house, and had far more kids than what I think is healthy, 7 girls and 6 boys. She is originally from Guatemala and came to the US when she was 14. She married my father here, had her family here, and tried to make sure my siblings and I had old-school values, something she really failed at. Most of my siblings are as far from my mother as humanly possible. 2 of them sadly passed away. I'm the only one who stayed nearby to take care of our parents, and since Dad died, I've taken on my mother's bills so she can live comfortably. She's always been a dramatic headache, especially when it came to my marriage. She babied my husband and always took his side. I only wanted 1 kid, but my husband wanted as many as biologically possible. He had told me he also only wanted 1 when we talked about marriage. My mother helped him mess with my birth control, so I got pregnant with my youngest. I don't regret my youngest daughter, but after she was born, I secretly had my tubes tied. My mother always berated me for being faulty since I only had 2 children. That's not even counting how she berated me for marrying old. I married at 22, she married at 16. My husband was 49 when he died in a car crash recently. We shared 2 daughters, 14 and 16. He was also having an affair with a girl since 2020. The girl was 24 when she died. Together, they had twin boys earlier this year, who thankfully survived the crash. My daughters found out about the affair first, when their father took them to the hospital to meet the babies and told the girls to keep it a secret from me. They didn't, and my husband became abusive toward them and me. We were in the process of divorcing when he died. When my husband's affair came out, my mother blamed me. She said it was because I was a working woman who didn't please her husband. That I didn't give him enough children. That I wasn't pretty anymore. I'm not going to say I'm super attractive, but I think I look good for my age. I've kept my weight well enough, and I look relatively young for my age. But no, according to my dear mother, I wasn't good enough for my husband, who needed a girl closer in age to our daughters than to him. She was also among those angry at me for refusing to adopt my husband's affair children. Her newest crazy is that she's trying to find husbands for my daughters, mainly focused on my eldest. This insane plan started this week when my eldest came out to us. I had an idea, and I'm happy she felt comfortable enough, in this massive mess we're in, to still tell me and her sister. My daughter also decided to tell my mother. My mother just ended the call. Then she called me to scream about how confused and sick my daughter is. She's linked me to conversion camps, psychologists who claim homosexuality is a sickness, political articles, etc. She even wanted to see about doing an exorcism. I told her to stop it or she would be in no contact with my in-laws. She stopped for literally 24 hours. The next thing I get is a Facebook message from a man in his mid-20s asking if it was true that I was looking to marry off my 16-year-old daughter. I told him he was sick and blocked him. I got 6 more through the night. Then my mother called, saying she found husband prospects for my girls. My high school-aged girls. Angry has been an understatement. She even gave some of these men my daughter's cell phone numbers. We're all getting new phone numbers tomorrow, and I had the girls set their social media to private. I don't know what part of the brain is broken in my mother's mind. I had the girls block their grandmother on everything, and I'm stopping payments for anything my mother needs. I know I need to call the cops. I just never thought I would need to call the cops on my own mother. It's been only 2 weeks since I had to cut off my in-laws. I'm just exhausted. And please, do not think this is a normal Hispanic thing, it's not. My aunts are amazing women, most of them also homemakers. They are actually on my side about cutting off my mother and calling the cops. They even suggested my daughters and I move closer to them in another state. This is just my mother being insane. Editor's note: I couldn't find the exact time frame between updates 8 to 9, it could have spanned a couple months. 8th update. We went to the police today, and they took all the information I had. The officer we spoke with was incredible and immediately helped my lawyer with everything needed for a temporary restraining order. We'll be filing it this week and hopefully getting it within the month. After that, we'll focus on a permanent restraining order. This is against my mother and any third parties acting on her behalf. The officer was also kind enough to offer to check on us and our house at least once a day. The school has also been notified of the situation, and one of my brothers is going to come live with my daughters and me until we decide if /where/ when we move. I can't just up and pack everything since I still have a job and my girls are in the middle of the school year. For now, we're safe, and my girls have new phone numbers. 9th update. Some good news came out today regarding my mother. As of November 2024, she will be on her own financially. There's also an investigation into her regarding what she tried to do to my daughters, and a very old investigation has been reopened about a family matter I can't really speak on for the time being. Because of the charges against my mother, we might get an expedited restraining order since minors are involved, fingers crossed. The restraining order will also keep some others from contacting me, mainly in-laws. In other news, after talking to my daughters, the three of us agree that we don't really like our house anymore. It makes me a bit sad because it was my childhood home and a gift from my dad, but the reality is there's too much baggage. I look at some places, and it feels like the ghost of my husband's infidelity is everywhere. My girls don't like that we're so close to their grandparents, and my brother, who's moved in with us, has been very blunt about the fact that the house is just not worth the stress. So, as painful as it is, I'm planning to do some repairs and either sell or rent it out. My brother will also continue living with us after we move. Not sure if it's a forever situation, but he's a good support for my eldest daughter when it comes to LGBTQ+ matters. I have to admit I know the bare facts, while my brother is gay and came out almost 30 years ago. He's been a fount of advice about resources and has given her guidance, especially after my mother's stunt. My youngest has also started to do better. She's back to talking as usual and seems less scared about going out. She's been very excited about looking for a new house with me. She wants the perfect yard. So, we'll see what we can find. My job offered a transfer out of state, also an international transfer, but that one is more likely a no for me. So, a new beginning will do us good. That's all I've got. Not so much actual updates as settling my mind on some decisions after reading advice here and talking it through with people in my life. As of November, I'm officially refusing to acknowledge my mother. As far as I'm concerned, my parents were gone after my father died. 10th update 5 months later. My 46F daughters, 17 and 15, have a strained relationship with my ex-husband's parents, 78M and 80F. My ex passed away in an accident last year, and we've had some major family drama since, due to his cheating and him leaving 2 boys, born from his affair partner, orphaned. She also died. Part of the drama has been my ex-in-laws trying to get custody of my daughters and also trying to live with us. We're going to court over the first one, and the second will never happen. Where we live, there's a weekend market with fresh produce, eggs, meats, and other products straight from farmers. This week was extra special since it was my youngest's birthday. Since her party is later in the month, I decided to give her a budget and set her loose at the market to get whatever she wanted, mostly chocolate and sweets. After an hour, I started getting worried, and just before I called her, she called me. She was crying, saying some weird people had cornered her. I ran to her with my oldest daughter to find 6 older women berating my daughter for being unchristian, for refusing to spend time with her paternal grandparents, or for not wanting to be a good big sister to her poor orphaned baby brothers. My daughters are the ones who found out about my ex's cheating and the babies, so they aren't fond of the kids. It's trauma, and they are working with a therapist. I got between the group and my daughter, told my eldest to go pay for the stuff her sister had, and to go to the car. Then I turned to the women, some of whom I knew from when we went to my ex-in-law's church, and ripped them a new one. They told me I was worse for refusing to obey my ex-in-laws like a good Christian wife. Eventually, the screaming got too loud, and we were all asked to leave the market. I met with my girls in the car, the women following me like a group of vultures. I managed to get in the car and drove away. After my girls went to bed, I got online to talk to another member of that church whom I'm on good terms with. I told him about what happened, and after he apologized, he told me what was going on. My ex-mother-in-law posted a massive story in the church's Facebook group about how horrible my daughters and I are, how we are leaving them homeless and penniless, they inherited my ex's personal bank account and his life insurance, and how my daughters don't even talk to them. She also accused us of being the reason she lost her grandsons. The boys are now living with distant relatives of my ex-husband. Basically, it was a sob story worthy of a Hallmark movie. And, of course, they were getting all the love and support from the more extremist members of their church. This church and its members are a bit annoying, especially with LGBTQ+ topics, but they have a small saving grace: they are incredibly strict about cheating. It's a big no-no, be it from a husband or a wife, equally. Now, how did she get around blaming me for the affair children without exposing the cheating? She claimed the other woman was our surrogate since I was unable to have more children. Then she said I didn't want the babies because they were boys, which is absolutely disgusting to be accused of. Well, I decided it was time to clean up this mess, and since I was mid-divorce when my ex died, I had all the evidence needed. And since the divorce wasn't completed, I don't have any legal ramifications for releasing all the evidence. I was off the next day and went to a print shop to get copies of all the delightful pictures of my ex cheating, his text conversations with his affair partner, the ones with his parents confessing to his cheating and giving him support, my ex-in-laws harassing me about the divorce, and my coup de grace, all the emails and text messages of them bullying my daughters about their baby brothers. In one of them, they call my daughters bastards and tell them it was their fault their father died, since they told me about the affair and I began the divorce. This one was literally 2 days after my ex died. I paid extra for all of this to be printed on beautiful, high-quality paper. Then, when I got home, I sat down for hours to make delightfully personalized binders. They looked like the little prayer song packets the church gives for everyone to take to sing hymns. The first picture when opening the binders is my ex and his side woman making out in our living room. Their faces are easy to discern, and the girl looks nothing like me, different skin tone and hair color. Underneath, I wrote, ex-husband's name and affair girl's name love story. I took them to the church before service. There's a desk in the back with the songbooks for people who need or forget their own, and they never check them. The gossip mill was quick and harsh. The names my ex and his affair partner got called on Facebook were so bad, the pastor himself had to get involved just to keep things relatively PG-13. People were angry at my ex-in-laws for their abuse toward my daughters, but what made me laugh was that I was still in the wrong for the divorce, but it is understandable that I failed in my duties after the shock and I possibly will one day return to the light, unlike my cheating husband and his Jezebel. They used another word I can't use here, I imagine. I got 2 apology letters in the mail for my girls and an invitation to join the church for support. As for my ex-in-laws, they got shamed into leaving the church. My ex-mother-in-law made a post on her wall about how alienated she feels and how no one cares for the elderly anymore. How she wished her great son was still alive since he would have taken care of her and her husband. With what money, I don't know, since I was the breadwinner. Explanation on the will: my ex-husband had a will that named his parents as beneficiaries. As far as I was aware, he had told me he had named our daughters, not them. I never pushed for me to be the beneficiary, as my own will has my daughters as the beneficiaries, not him.